This is Kugan Cassius for iFLTV. We are at the Centurion Golf Club here. It's a beautiful day.
Stunning. Stunning, isn't it, Kugan?
Would you call me stunning, or would you call the golf club stunning?
Both. Yeah.
Centurion Golf Club here in Hemel Hempstead. Ray, it's been just over 2 years since I last saw you. Yeah. Not really in the country a lot, are you, really?
Well, yeah, I kind of move around a little bit, you know. Work's been pretty slow since the strikes. You know, there's a bit of a backup with work. So there's plenty to do, but there just ain't enough room to do it yet. I'm lucky enough I'm starting on The Gentleman next week, which is already in production. So it's Gentleman 2, and looking forward to that, getting back into the graft. And I'm back with some forwards from here, you know, Sicily. I've got my family's here, you know, my kids are here. So, but when we get a chance, me and Elan have a little scoot. I mean, I'm 68 now, Cougar. You know, I want to rest in the sun.
So Bobby Glass is back?
Bobby Glass is back, yeah. Still in the prison, still nicked. But I think that's the best place for him. It's nice because I can come in and out, do my thing, and that way my daughter runs the business. You know, it's a good dynamic that way, I think.
It was very well received, the first season.
Yeah.
What's different about the second one? Is it in the same mould?
I don't know, to be the truth, because I've got 3 scripts. I think we're moving in and dealing with probably legalisation of cannabis and all that kind of stuff. And but to be honest with you, I haven't seen the rest of the scripts, so I don't quite know where the journey goes, which in a way is a good thing. Yeah. I don't mind that with this, because some of it is all over the place, and then Guy edits it together and puts it all together and it becomes a story. And it kind of worked that way last time, you know.
Like, it's interesting, isn't it? Because obviously people kind of, when there's a film and then there's a series after, they're kind of expecting exactly the same thing. It's never exactly the same thing, but it was similarities in between, obviously, the film and the series, but yeah, everything worked well. It was very good. Yeah,
great. Well, I mean, I've purposely never watched the film because, you know, you want to bring your own stuff to it. You know, I heard the film was really good, was a good piece of work. So, but I should probably watch that after I finished.
That's interesting. You say that you didn't watch the film. Is that for you just to not kind of have any kind of premeditated thoughts going into it? You want your own thing, yeah?
Yeah, I think so, because it's different stories in a way, I hope, anyway. So you want to bring your own mark to it, you know, and if you start watching other people and what they're doing very well, by the way, by all accounts, you may fall into that trap of copying, you know, and being part of the same character. You know, you want to produce your own character, bring your own stuff and your own stamp to the job, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I like to pick your brains about boxing, as always.
Yeah.
I think we start with Conor Benn and Chris Eubank.
Well, what a fight to start with, and what a fight to end with. For me, it was a draw. 2 blinding fighters. I mean, game as Biagles. It's probably the best fight I've seen for many years, like everyone else. I had Ben in front, probably up until the latter round, you know. But you couldn't take it away. I mean, a draw would have been the most sensible thing if you look at it from the business side of you, because there's a return. And that's why I was so surprised when it wasn't given as a draw. But you couldn't argue the facts either way, I don't think, you know. I just think there's an accolade there for both fighters, you know. And I hope they both show a little bit of respect to one another now, you know. I know it's...
Don't know about that, yeah.
Well, their dads did, you know, and I know they're different fighters from their dads and all that kind of stuff, but, you know, you must have some admiration for your opponent, I think, you know. That's what boxing's always kind of been about, you know, from when I was a kid. You respect the man who's facing you, you know. I'd like to see that with a pair of them after the next fight.
After, if there is one.
Well, I hope so.
It's a bit of a surreal situation. You obviously lived through the era of the dads, and then the sons came on the scene. We didn't really see them fighting when they were different weights, etc., etc. But the whole thing for nostalgia and for history, I mean, I don't think we're going to see it again of that calibre of how high profile the dads were to how high profile the sons are right now.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's probably true. I mean, what can you say? Maybe they'll have kids. you know, and in 20 years' time they'll be fighting one another, you know. I mean, that's what boxing's kind of all about, really, you know. And I must say, lately, some of the cards I've been watching, you know, especially out there in the United Arab Emirates and the bills they've been putting on, and at Manchester Arena and all that, the cards have been good. I mean, years ago, it seems that the times are gone where they used to call it a body, you know, used to put a body in there, and which is a terrible terminology for a fighter, you know, but they used to surrender someone up for a fighter to go on, but the fighter wouldn't learn anything, you know. Today's the cards, the undercards and the cards are much more evenly balanced, and you're going to see a good fight on every one. It just shows you that the quality is improving all the time, you know, and the matchmaking is improving all the time.
Well, just on that Eubank, Ben, obviously the big talking point was whether Chris Eubank Senior would be there. He kind of made some comments saying that he didn't agree with the fight happening because of the weight, etc. Yeah. But there was a moment on Saturday night where you saw him being unveiled out of a car, and it was, whether you like the Eubanks, whether you like the fight, you couldn't help but kind of feel quite emotional about that whole, that situation with Eubank and his dad.
Yeah, showmanship, isn't it? It's great showmanship. I've been lucky enough to be in Chris's company a couple of times, you know, and talk to him, and he's a lovely fella, you know, as I'm sure Ben is, you know. I've admired both fighters over the years, different styles, but two warriors, you know. But that's all part of the show business of boxing now, isn't it? You know, and I'm glad he's talking to his dad again. You know, that's always a good thing. I mean, because, you know, we've all had fallouts with our dads. I did, you know, for a couple of years, and you know, you don't realise how much you miss them until you see them again, I guess, you know. So that's good. That's all good news. But yeah, it's pure showmanship, isn't it? It's a little bit of psyching out and all that business going on. But I'm sure the Ben camp are all kind of aware of that.
Yeah. Do you think there will be a rematch? Because obviously there's a lot about the weight, whether Chris Eubank will...
Do you know what? It's really funny. You talk about the weight. Yeah, he looked bigger. Eubanks looked bigger, and he felt stronger. But he didn't hurt Ben. I don't think he hurt Ben. And I think Ben hurt him. And, you know, that really surprised me, you know. There weren't any part of the fight where Ben looked hurt to me, where Eubank did. He did look like he took it. It was kind of in the mid-rounds, early mid-rounds, that he was shocked, I think, at the power. So that weight and the speed, I think the speed. Although, yeah, maybe that may stop the next fight, I don't know. Because I can't see him going up a weight, and I can't see Eubanks now coming down a weight.
Well, he missed the weight, didn't he? And he got fined a lot of money for missing that weight by half an ounce or whatever it was.
What was all that about a car? I see something about a car. He's bought a car on a fine or something.
Well, look, what happened was Chris Eubank was fined for missing weight by 0.5 of an ounce. Right. Got fined $500,000, which equates to around 375 English.
Right.
So that money goes to Conor Benn.
Oh, right.
So we're led to believe that Conor Benn went and bought himself a lovely roller off the back of it, right? Yeah. Which is where that money was from. Yeah. So that was that situation, pretty much. I'm pretty certain that's quite accurate.
Crazy, isn't it? I might not make the weight next time. I don't know. It's kind of crazy, isn't it?
But it was all in the contract, and if he'd missed, there was a £10 rehydration. If he'd missed that, he would have got fined similar, which he didn't, obviously, the next one. Yeah. But, the money goes to Conor Benn, straight in his back pocket.
Well, okay. All right. Well, there's a shock. Yeah. Well, it's nice to see fighters getting money, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah. So I've got no qualms with that. That's all right.
Yeah. I mean, he could have picked a less flasher car, but, you know.
Morris Minor or something like that, yeah. Wow. Okay.
Away from that, Ray, you watch a lot of boxing at the minute, or do you dip in and out of it?
TV. I've been invited a few times out there, you know, and
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, out there, and but I've never been able to go. I've been working or doing something else, you know, and it's kind of, I don't know. You get to a certain age, you go, can I really be asked about it? You know, sometimes you see it better on the telly, you know, sitting up in the gods. I mean, I was looking at the fight at White Hart Lane. You know, there's people sitting up in the gods. And they're watching the telly. So they're paying a nice few quid to go and watch it on the telly in a way, you know. And I'm not saying I've been there. I might have been invited to go ringside or something. I don't know. But it's a bit of an arseache, you know, to go. When you're younger, it's all right. You know you're going to have a party after and all that. The thought of a party gives me a nosebleed now, so I don't go to those. So I don't know. I enjoy it on the telly. I enjoy watching it, you know. I mean, the greatest night of boxing I'd ever seen, really, I was in LA, and I was told not to go down to South Central and all that. You know, you don't go down there, don't touch these places. And the Mexicans were all fighting. They all I think it was the Olympia Stadium. And I put an old Mac on and went down there and watched these fantastic Mexican fighters, lightweights, featherweights and all that, with speed. Every one of them looked a world champion, you know. They were just normal fighters, you know. It was probably the best night of boxing I'd seen, you know. And it was just doing that, just turning up and going, you know. Yeah.
Do you know what? Funny thing you mentioned about going to the boxing, because I had the task of inviting Dyer to that fight. And he said to me, similar to what you said, he said, I can't wait for this fight. But do you know the thought of going somewhere there's 60,000 people and people will drive him mad, like they will drive you mad? I'd rather just watch it with my family at home, which is what he'd done. So he said, thanks, Coog, but honestly, like the thought of like 60,000 people getting there, getting out, blah, blah, blah. I just want to watch it on the telly. That's what he said.
I get that, but do you know what? It's not even that so much, because you say hello. It's easy to say hello. Once the fight's on, they're watching the fight, they ain't watching you. You know, why would they want to watch you when they're watching two warriors like that? So it's not that so much. It's just the aggravation of parking. You know, parking up and then having to walk and push through the crowds and get there. You can't get a beer at the bar, and you know, fucking hell. By the time you get your seat in knackered, you feel like you've done 15 rounds yourself.
I think that was what he was touching at.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's great, and you hear all the chat. You know, Johnny Nelson talking, and who talks a lot of sense. I think John, it's great listening to him, and you know, you just listen to all that, and you just get the vibe. You get the vibe going, you know. So yeah, I enjoy that. I'm getting old, and I cook. That's what
68, no age, absolutely no age.
I think, you know.
Tyson Fury's retired currently.
Oh, he is.
Well, he retired after the Alexander fight. Well, great question.
I love watching him. I mean, skill. I think he beat himself in the last fight. Not saying that he ain't a great fighter, the other kid, but he got that one. I think that's what done him. That one punch on the nose, on the bridge of the nose, seemed to crack his face, you know. And you can see the pain in his face, the expression. And he weren't the same after that. He never really got over that bit, you know. And it was a close fight anyway. But I think the other guy won. Yeah, he'll come back. I think he'll come back.
Yeah, I think he will come back. The biggest fight we've been talked about in this country for the last probably 10 years now, 8 years or whatever, is Joshua and Fury. Do you think we'll finally get to see that at some point, if obviously Fury does come back?
I think there's only one winner there. I think Anthony's when he sticks to his basics, Anthony, he's a really good fighter. You know, when he just boxes. And when he starts to have a tear up, no. So I think Fury knows too much for him. I really do. Good fight to have, though.
Great fight. A bit sad if we don't get to see it of our generation, because of this generation, that is the biggest fight here in this country.
Absolutely. Yeah, I guess so. Be nice. It would be nice to see, because we all have opinions, and maybe Anthony can pull something out there, you know. But I don't see it. I think he's too ring craft. The other guy, Fury. Yeah.
We should see if that happens. Yeah. Right, let's jump from boxing to football, rather. Assess your season for us, Ray.
Been diabolical, isn't it? It has. You know, coming from what Moyes built there, you know, we was going in the right direction, and then I've really enjoyed watching Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth, Brighton, Aston Villa this season, Newcastle. You know, this way of playing football of, you know, pace, directness is my kind of football, you know. Even though you're sitting back, you're having a go. We were playing that way when we won the European Cup. I'll just drop that one in. But we were on the break, you know, with pace and that. This year, and we had the new Lopetegui came in and just ripped it apart. And I was very after time this is, but I was very dubious about him coming in because of his track record. He ain't got a track record. He's never stayed anywhere he's been, you know, and yeah, he kind of ripped us apart a little bit, you know. He got rid of Fornells and players like that who were kind of like the heart of the team. You know, there was a like a brotherhood there, it seems, you know, within the club, and he kind of ripped that apart a little bit, I think. And I like Potter, and I think Potter's got a hell of a job to do there. But we'll see what happens in the summer. We'll pull it apart. We actually played the best 45 minutes of football I'd seen this season against Man United. And Man United are nothing to sing about, you know, they're nothing to write home about. So maybe we're going in the right direction. But I like Graham Potter, and I think he's the man to turn us around. And it's going to be a tough season next season because there are so many good teams now. It's not a walk in the park. I don't think Liverpool are a great side. I think they were right in moments. They look good, but they're not anywhere near the Liverpools of the past. You know, Arsenal were lacking up front. You see moments of them where they can be brilliant, but it's like a lot of the teams. Their legs are all gone by the end of the season. I suppose it's the way they play. You know, that kind of on the break you're chasing the ball a lot, and then, you know, by the end of the season, Nottingham Forest, they're gone. Villa are gone. They pulled it back the weekend. Newcastle have come again, you know. Bournemouth are gone. You know, these were really hard teams to beat. We were lucky to still be in the Premiership, I think. Yeah. So to answer your question, shit.
I will say one thing, just picking up on your point, I'm Arsenal raised, you know. That Liverpool, listen, fair play to Liverpool, they've kind of...
absolutely.
But I don't think Liverpool have had to get out of second gear to win this title. I think Arsenal didn't really... Actually, you ended our title hopes with your win.
Yeah, we like that.
Your win at the Emirates. But Arsenal, with 14 draws this season, didn't really push Liverpool at all, which is kind of allowed. And it's no fault to Liverpool.
28 points.
It's mad.
In draws.
That's mental.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. 28 points. You know, if it's... Half of them is 14 points. You'd have won the league.
Yeah.
So there you go.
It's a funny season because you've got above 3, you've got yourselves, Tottenham and Man United.
Yeah. We're above Tottenham and Man United.
I know that. I get pointed out by my friend Joey, who's got he's got a Mark Noble tattoo as well.
Oh, lovely. Good boy.
But I think the fact that the 3 teams were that bad kind of allowed everyone else to kind of... You know,
do you know? And the final, they got a final, Man United Tottenham, right? Well, it's
I'm going Man United all day. I hate Man United.
Of course. But you know, you look at it and you think, well, they're good enough to get there. What happened to their season here? You know, what is it? The players? What, you only play for the European bit and you don't play, or is it the coaching? It's an hard one to work out. One of them teams' seasons made on a final. Because they get in the Champions League next year, right?
And they could end up coming 17th, either one of them.
Unbelievable. But the other team, what happens then?
Yeah.
You got nothing. You're down there, bottom of the league with us, by the way. And what happens to your club? Do you have to rip it apart and start again? All these excuses, we've had injuries. We've all had injuries. You've got a squad of players. Yeah. You know, and them squad of players should be able to fill in and come in and play the game, you know. I don't buy that excuse. I really don't.
We saw Trent Alexander come on the other day against, and he got booed, which I thought was a bit harsh, but he got booed. What's your thoughts on when Rice left to Arsenal?
He kind of had to go. The kid, you know, footballer's lifespan it ain't long, was it? 10, 15 years if you're lucky, you know. And there's so much big money today involved in it, you know. And yeah, I think. Yes, he wants to win trophies, and he couldn't see himself going that way to win a Premiership or a proper European Cup, as they call it, you know, which he won at West Ham, by the way.
I'll get reminded of this as well.
Yeah, well, that's true. But, you know, he had to go. The kid had to go. You know, he's got a certain amount of time to make the rest of his life very comfortable. And if he'd have stayed at West Ham, it'd have been another Bobby Moore. But that's not where they weigh up today. It's weighed up in a different context today. Years ago, that would have been enough, and it was enough for players. You know, today it's a business, And they stop kidding themselves that football is a sport. It ain't a sport, it's a fucking business. People who own football clubs are business people. You know, it's amazing what Levy was talking about. I think, if I'm quoting him right, if it wasn't AI or something like that, but, you know, the club's doing very well. They don't need to win anything.
I've heard this. I've heard that, yeah.
Well, it's true. They're running it as a business, you know, so it's their club, you know.
Fans don't care about that, do they?
No.
To hear that, say the club's financially doing all right.
You know, but let's get back to reality. That's the reality of football today, you know, and I'm afraid, you know, it's not what we're used to. We're, you know, from our age, going back, that's what we grew up watching, and that's what our football was. Today, the kids growing up today are watching the business. That's what they're doing. We're disappointed. They don't know no different, you know. So when they see a kid like Declan Rice go to a big club, and probably still not getting the money that, you know, wonder what would happen if Real Madrid came in tomorrow to Arsenal and said we want to buy Declan Rice, which, the way he's played this year, I mean, he's played more or less every game except yesterday, I could see happening. What would Declan do then? There's a way of life in Spain, you know, you got more, and they're going to pay more than what Arsenal pay. He'd have to go. He'd have to go, and I wouldn't blame him for going. That's the way it is, you know.
Yeah, I've always said that any player that goes to Real or Barca, you can't knock them.
No,
you can't really knock them. I'd rather them go a player leave here.
Yeah. Been there for 20 years. Yeah. He's gone through thick and thin with the club, right? So, you know, and he's a good player, you know. And you can't blame him for going. I don't know what they're booing him for. Yeah, why are they booing him? He's one of their own, and all. The boy's going to better himself. Not probably football-wise, because Liverpool play fantastic football at times. But, you know, he's going to have a lot for him and his family in Spain for a little while. Good luck to him.
Does Jared Bowen end his career at West Ham?
Who?
Jared Bowen.
I'd like to think so. I don't think Danny would let him go, would he? You know,
He'd
kind of tie him up, wouldn't he, and put him in the cupboard. He would, you ain't going nowhere. Yeah, I'd like to think so. I love Bowen. I think, you know, he's 100% every game. You know, there's a couple of players there who are the same. You know, I like Kilman, who's playing there. Wanasaka. I mean, he's been phenomenal, hasn't he? Wanasaka this year. You know, it's just straightening it out. We need probably a couple of more players in there just to help me out. Antonio's coming back. I'd love to see him play again for us. I think he's another player who gives 100% every time he puts on a shirt, you know. So, you know, we've missed him this year. We have missed him. But that's no excuse for us being down the bottom. You know, I think it's a big miss.
Right, on to Integral Sports Management.
Oh, yeah.
How's that been going?
Yeah, it's all right. We kind of give ourselves 3 years to get up and running, you know, and it's taken 4 years. We started in COVID, you know, and the whole idea of that was, you know, because Gary's son was playing football, and we saw a lot of kids being released. You know, any kid who's at a club from a certain age has got to be a good player, you know, at some level. And they're just released and they're let go, and you know, unless they've got a good family behind them who understand the football world and to place them somewhere else, they're kind of left in the wilderness. And we just kind of thought, you know, some of these kids can be placed somewhere else. They can be put somewhere else. They can follow their dream a little bit more. And that's kind of why we got going. And we're in a really good place at the moment. We've got, you know, kids who we've taken on who are now playing international football at a youth level, you know, and other kids who are just playing probably in the third tier, you know, semi-pro and professional. We've got a couple of kids at Aston Villa, you know, and it's just by placing them and then them coming to us as well. We've found that a lot of the kids now are getting in touch with us. So it's been really good, and it's gone in the right direction as well, you know, and the agency kind of looks after itself. I have nothing to do with the hiring and all that kind of stuff. I'm just a founder member, and as a founder member, I keep my eye on the situation and what direction we're going in. But as for the everyday running of the club, we're left at the people who are like-minded, you know, who know the industry, who know the game and know football. So, yeah, I'm very pleased with the way that's going.
Is there anyone specifically on the books that you think this one could be someone?
There's a few. Yeah, there's a few. There's a few very happy with, you know, and they're enjoying it and all, you know. Not all of them needed a second chance. you know, a lot of them, they got that chance anyway. But they came to us for certain reasons, I guess, because, I don't know, we sold them an idea, you know, and what we were all about, integral sports management. We called it that for a reason, you know, where football can be a funny old game. When there's lots of money involved in a sport, it could take you in another direction, you know. So we've never kind of looked at it in that way. We've looked at it more as it's about them and where they want to be and place them where they want to go, not where we want to put them, you know. And so that's kind of where we've been progressing towards, you know. Very good.
Good to hear. Good to hear. So aside from the gentleman,
Yep.
are you pending any other work in the next kind of 6 months or so?
We've got some. I'm working on something with an old mate of mine who we worked together with years ago and had departed, and we're just about to announce something we've wrote and put together as a series about London from the 70s all the way through up to today. So that looks like that'll probably be going, hopefully, you know. I've got one or two other projects that I've read, but they're in the queue to be made, you know, and it's great because you kind of sit down waiting. Good scripts come along very rarely, you know, with good dialogue and good stories and all that. Sometimes you have to do a job to pay the rent, you know. It's like anything. But I've read three really good ones lately, and if they come off, I'll be very happy, you know. Yeah.
How much stuff do you turn down, Ray?
You kind of know when you read them. It's not a question of turning them down. You just, you know, thank you, and I'm not interested, you know. But then there's other times where you read something you're not quite sure about, but you need to pay the rent. So you will go and do that. You'll have to do that. You know, that's part and parcel. The tax man needs to be paid, you know. Bastard. But there you go. So it's coming less, but, you know, it's there. It's always there. And sometimes they're not bad. But it just ain't for you. You know, you don't like it. You know, because you got to look at it. When you read something, a man's put his life and soul into writing, or a woman's put their life and soul into writing that. So you got to give it the respect it deserves. You know what I mean? It's just because you don't like it, don't mean to say it's not very good. You know. So, yeah.
How much into a script are you reading before you can kind of loosely work out if this is for you or not?
Sometimes you can suss it early on, but. You know, I made a mistake years ago. I watched a film called "They Shoot Horses, Don't They?" Right, and when I've got to say, it's about the Depression in America, and it's set around this marathon dance, right? And Michael Saracen was in it, and I think it was Jane Fonda. That was the fucking most boring film in it. But it starts off at the beginning there, where this little boy's running through a field with an horse, right? And he's loving the horse, and the horse falls over and breaks its leg. And you hear a gunshot, they shot the horse, and you forget about that, and you're in this film, it goes on for 2 hours, and you're bored fucking silly, you know, it's really boring. You know? And then at the end of this dance, they don't even win the dance, you know, and the girl looks at the geezer, and she goes, pulls a gun out of her bag, gives it to the geezer, and she goes, shoot me, and he goes, bang, shoots her. And you go, what the fuck was that all about? And when the cops nick him, they said, wait, son, why'd you do that? He said, well, they shoot horses, don't they? And you go, oh, he's the little boy at the beginning of the film, so you've had to watch this film for 2 hours to get the point. It's a great point. So my point is, when you get a script in the beginning and you read it and you go, oh, it's really shit, but I've got to read it at the end, just in case there's that moment of they shoot horses, don't they? Fuck me. What a film. For 2 minutes in a film, made a boring film the most brilliant film you've ever watched in your life. Incredible.
Always watch to the end or read to the end.
Well, you know, not always, you know, but it's kind of it, yeah.
Right, just before I let you go, just want to play a little game with you, if that's all right.
Oh, you right.
It's all right, it's one of these trending things.
One of them silly games, or is it?
Yeah, it's blind ranking. So basically, what I'll do is, I'll list my 5 favourite films yours. Right. So when I name one, you've got to list them what you think is the best one. So if I name...
Go on.
So you go, I'll put that number 2. So you're blind ranking before you know what the 5 are.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Final Cut.
Oh, Final Cut, enjoyed it. 5.
Okay, final cut of 5. Nil by mouth.
2.
Love, honour and obey.
4.
4.
4. You're asking me, ain't you?
Yeah, I am.
Right, okay.
Yeah. The Departed.
6.
Okay, so you're going outside.
Well, I didn't star in that.
Scum.
Oh, 3.
Sexy Beast.
1.
Yeah, see, I'd have put Love, Honour and Obey at number 1. But that's my own personal one. Yeah,
sure. Yeah, perfect.
Sexy Beast 2.
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, but that's good. Yeah. But see, it's the trouble is that I look at them as all good films, so it's really hard to place them because you take something out of all of them, you know, and they're kind of, I wouldn't say different, but you like them all, you know. I think Sexy Beast is because I played opposite Ben, and Ben had a different kind of delivery than I had, and it was we played a little game, you know, and within it, so we never got on one another's track in a way, so it was a bit surreal. So it was kind of like much more interesting for me to do in a way, although a lot of people didn't quite understand what I was doing when we were making it, but you know, but I think they got the point after we'd finished. Yeah.
Multiple C-bombs, probably the most in any film ever, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, but that weren't from me. That was from Ben.
Ben, of course. Of course it was.
Yeah, Gandhi. Yeah. Gandhi was giving it large. Yeah.
Gandhi was giving it large. It's a great quote.
Yeah. Yeah. But he was great. He was great to work with, Ben. I really enjoyed working with him, and you know, it's amazing when you work with really good actors. You know, people that are at the top of their game. It's not hard work. Yeah. You know, they're there for you, and you're there for them, and you learn from them that quality. You know. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Ray Winstone, much appreciate your time on this glorious afternoon here in Hemel Hempstead.
And I'm not drinking either. Terrible, isn't it? Hey, it's all beer all round us and wine and that, and I'm being a good boy. Lovely.
Much appreciate your time.
You're
I hope it ain't 2 years, but it probably will be. I'll speak to Jim, but it'll probably be every couple of years, and then, you know what I mean?
We're all right. I'm around anyway. You can get hold of me anytime, can't you? You know.
Yeah, of course. Gem as good as gold. Ray Winstone, thank you very much for your time, and yes, safe travel zone whenever you go. You're going to end it on that, yeah?
Well, absolutely. We ended your season.
Thank you very much.
Good luck, my son.